Hello, all, and welcome to today's New Economy Fireside Chat series with me. I'm your host, Ashish Mehra. I'm the Chief Research Officer at Markets and Markets. At M&M, we take great pride in transforming market intelligence into revenue impact for our clients. We focus on researching disruptive emerging technologies and futuristic trends which would lead to significant shifts in your revenues in the coming decade or so. Now, through these new economy fireside chats, our objective is really to share actionable insights on disruptions that are emanating in your ecosystem. And these are mostly based on the client work that we do as well as our own research. Now, today's topic is really very interesting. We're switching away from sustainability into the technology domain. And our topic for today is about how IT infrastructure majors can leverage the opportunity with OEMs, original equipment manufacturers. For that, I would like to really welcome my guest today, Shakib, who leads our technology practice. Shakib.
Thank you so much, Ashish.
Great. So, Shakib, why don't we start with you providing a bit more background and context to who are these OEMs and what is the kind of opportunity we're talking about for these technology players?
Sure. Thanks for the opportunity, Ashish, and it's a privilege mentioning a few insights around this important and critical aspect of the IT infrastructure business. So, from the lens of IT infrastructure companies, an OEM is an entity that combines off-the-shelf or customized IT solutions with its intellectual property, resulting in a specialized system with industry or task-specific functionality, and offers the turnkey solutions to end-use industry verticals, including energy and utilities, manufacturing, retail, healthcare, and others. Now, this customer segment is critical for IT infrastructure companies due to newer opportunities that are being created with regards to emerging use cases across these industry verticals. For example, connected imaging and diagnostics within healthcare was not existing 8-10 years back. Now, current IT infrastructure might not be able to support connected imaging as it demands edge capabilities, which would in turn require virtualization, edge analytics, edge to cloud security, low latency connectivity, and others. So the healthcare OEMs are now required to offer imaging solutions that bring edge capabilities along with their imaging products, MRI machines and CT scanners, so on and so forth. So now talking about the overall, opportunity and the scale of this market is, as per Markets and Markets perspective, the OEM business for IT infrastructure companies is close to $40 billion. And growing at double-digit CAGR for the next 4-5 years.
That's a really sizable opportunity, Shakib. So why don't we talk about a few strategic questions around this? You gave the example of healthcare, but I'm sure that there would be some prioritization of industries, end-use industries, which would be more important for OEMs. So tell us a bit more about which end-use industries would be the most attractive and why.
That's a very, I think, important and critical question from a GTM perspective. So OEM channel is not new. Hence, there's a lot of competition. I mean, most of the major IT infrastructure companies are reaping benefits of this channel. In addition, many of the large OEMs, you name it, Siemens, Medtronic, ABB, Schneider Electric, are building IT-enabled solutions in-house. So that's another, I would say, a flip side of this business. So therefore, it is very imperative to devise a pointed strategy to go to the market. So the first strategic question, as you correctly mentioned, is which industry verticals to target, including industrial automation, energy and utilities, aerospace and defense, healthcare, retail. Which should we prioritize? So as per our estimates, manufacturing is a $7 billion opportunity today. Healthcare is a $6 billion opportunity. Energy and utilities is $3 billion. So these are the top three, I would say, industry verticals from the attractiveness standpoint. Now, combined opportunity related to these three verticals, as I just shared the numbers, is close to 60% of the overall market. Main reason of the attractiveness is the amount of disruption these industry verticals are witnessing. For instance, in the case of manufacturing, there is an increasing dependence of manufacturing assets on digital twin, predictive maintenance, robotics, drone inspection, telemetry, so on and so forth. Similarly, energy and utilities, there is an uptick of microgrids, digital switchgear, offshore wind, so smart meters. Now, these newer use cases will demand next generation IT solutions, including hyper-converged infrastructure, software-defined solutions, edge computing, high-performance storages, IoT gateways with local processing capabilities, etc. So that's, if you ask me, I would say energy and utilities, healthcare, and manufacturing out of the lot of say 7-8 industry verticals are should be prioritized for quicker revenue generation in the near future.
Lovely. So Shakib, let's pick one or two of these end-use industries. Tell us, how can the OEMs prioritize the biggest use cases in each of those? And if you could also share some insights on which, according to you, are the biggest use cases, pick one or two end-use industries.
For example, if I take energy and utilities industries, that needs to be prioritized. The important question, as you said, is which use cases should be targeted. So based on market size, CAGR, dependence on various emerging technologies such as blockchain, augmented reality, mixed reality, 5G, edge computing, AI, cloud, and a couple of more. Plus the adoption across major countries within these regions, which we have, Americas, Europe, Latam, APAC. So the list of top 10 use cases out of a lot, I mean, I would say there are more than 50 plus such use cases that are disrupting the energy and utilities industry. I would say microgrid, switchgear, smart meters, offshore wind, and oil and gas pipeline monitoring are the top 5-6 use cases out of those, a bigger lot. And of course, if you ask me, for example, microgrid, it in itself is a $400 million opportunity when it comes to energy and utilities, which is a 3.2 on the whole. $3.2 billion on the whole.
Wow. So let's dive a bit more into any one of these. Let's say if we were to dive a bit into microgrid, tell us a bit more about, what is the kind of next gen IT infrastructure support which microgrids would need that a lot of these infrastructure players could actually provide.
So microgrid is, as I mentioned, that on the basis of TAM and CAGR. So microgrid itself is a $4 billion opportunity growing at a 11% CAGR. And the main reason is it's decentralized architecture. So, and it's proving to be a very good alternate to the centralized or a main grids, which we have traditionally. For example, clean energy sources like solar and wind, when deployed in large scale, can cause challenges related to over generation and voltage control. While microgrids can address this issue because of their distributed architecture. Now, what's the challenge with microgrids, and that can be solved with IT infrastructure? So microgrids rely on more than one power sources, including solar power as well as battery backup and sometimes diesel generators. Now, as we understand that they are highly dependent on the weather, whether the sunlight is sufficient or not, or it is the daytime or nighttime. There has to be a real-time decision making to switch the grid from, say, solar to diesel generators to batteries. Now, this is going to require a lot of horsepower at the edges from the computing perspective. Now, how can IT help in such scenarios? So, for example, if I take infrastructure components such as edge IoT gateways that have processing capabilities. Nowadays, we have so advanced IoT gateways that they themselves act as a processor itself. So to address the requirement of real-time decision-making, analytic solution is needed at the edge, which monitors multiple energy sources and processes the information. So energy management applications coupled with these IoT edge gateways having analytics capabilities can effectively address the said issue. So there's an example of a customer who was very, I would say, almost solely dependent on diesel generators. When they switched to microgrid using such kind of intelligent edge technologies, they were reduced to cut their harmful emissions by 90%. So that's the kind of outcome such intelligent IT-enabled solutions can create to the end customer.
That's superb. That is superb. So Shakib, let's switch gears a bit and move away from some where to play strategic questions a bit into execution. So if I'm the sales lead, let's say a global sales lead or a regional sales lead of a large IT infrastructure player, how should I determine my top 10 focus OEMs in any industry? And maybe an add-on question would be, how can I really generate significant demand for my solutions with these customers?
Sure. So, that's a very important and a critical question to answer. So, the scale of the opportunity that lies within these OEMs is hundred, I mean, few $100 million. So, this is the scale where we have many of these organizations whose total revenues is of that scale. So, definitely, which there's a list of hundreds and 200s of OEMs which are doing great business. Which of them should be prioritized? Again, continuing with the same example of energy and utilities, if I dive deeper into the major OEMs, ABB, Siemens Energy, Schneider Electric, GE, Emerson, they offer 30% of the total $3.2 billion opportunity that is there within the energy and utilities sector with regards to the next gen IT infrastructure. Now, this TAM can further be broken down by use cases. And when I'm saying TAM, the account level TAM. So to help you understand, 30% of 100, so there's $100 million opportunity within Emerson, and 30% of that is revolving and concentrated around microgrids. So when we're talking to Emerson, the sales guys need to make sure that microgrid is one use case that should definitely be touched upon. And similarly, when I take the example of switchgears, so GE is one player which is having a 35%, I would say, TAM with regards to the IT infrastructure. So and similar breakup is required for hundreds of major OEMs. Post this, there needs to be a deep dive analysis that's required to be done. Now, a demand generation is a very important aspect that you also touched upon. So once we know that within GE or within Emerson or within Siemens, these are the use cases I need to prioritize. Now, how do I create the demand? So compelling content, white papers, blogs, podcast needs to be created, which touches upon the challenges I just mentioned about the microgrid part. So if a content is able to address the challenges that are being faced by the end customers and the OEMs, and how IT can play a catalyst role or enabling role to meet those outcomes, can definitely create a lot of value when it comes to demand generation.
Superb, Shakib. I think those are some pretty good actionable insights. So, Shakib, in summary, if I were to ask you to uh, summarize this opportunity that lies ahead for IT infrastructure players, and how would you recommend they think strategically about tapping this opportunity?
So I think few of the things we have anyways touched upon. So the whole GTM can be broken down into two broad pieces: where to play and how to win. So within where to play, which end use industry verticals should be prioritized? For example, healthcare, industrial automation, energy and utilities, aerospace and defense is also an important one. And then once we have the visibility around those industry verticals, then within those industries, which use cases? So there are n number of products that are being created within energy and utilities, similarly healthcare. So which 5-10 use cases out of the lot of 50 or maybe hundreds of products that are being created should be targeted? Once that is clear to us, then of course, we cannot go after the whole globe. So which geographies are more promising? Which are those countries that are witnessing more demand and more adoption of, say, connected imaging or say microgrid? So microgrid is one component which is not applicable across the globe. I mean, countries such as US and Australia are more, they have shown great promise in adopting these technologies. So when it comes to microgrid, I have to go to Australia. I have to make sure that I've tapped US. So that's more to do with the way to play aspect. Then how to win, of course, we have touched upon that as well. Which major OEMs should be prioritized, and I should be spending more and more of my energy and resources across those. Which are the personas, ideal personas? Exactly. For example, in the case of Emerson, I don't have to go after everybody and anybody. this is, I mean, it should be the technology head or a CTO who is having the responsibility of creating intelligent microgrid within Emerson. So, and of course, content creation to create demand. When it comes to the sales guys, who are handling large accounts, a deep dive account intelligence is very important. What are the ins and outs of companies such as Emerson? Because these are huge conglomerates, and it takes a lot of I would say intelligent steps to scale business with these kind of players. Apart from that, of course, there are a couple of other aspects. For example, industry-wise voice of customers of these OEMs. So a healthcare industry would demand more of a data management capabilities, governance, risk and compliance, versus an energy and utilities OEM would be demanding more of rugged devices, edge computing capabilities. So yeah, I mean, these are some 5-6 things that must be done, I would say, to sharpen the GTM strategy for this customer segment.
Wonderful, Shakib. Thank you so much for sharing your perspectives on this 60 billion opportunity for our IT infrastructure players. Folks, we sincerely hope you enjoyed this talk and took away some actionable insights to grow your business. Once again, Shakib, thank you so much for being my guest today and talking about these opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you for being such a nice host. Thank you.